On December 27th, about 20 miles northeast of Moscow, 6 Ukrainian GUR operatives huddled in a bunker. The world was preparing for New Year's. They were preparing for a strike. 10:01 p.m., 2 Dovbush T-10s lifted off. Each weighed around 150 pounds. Their engines screamed, pushing them to 170 miles per hour. Then they dipped low, gliding just above the waves. The sea's noise hid them. Radars could not detect a thing. Each aircraft carried 6 WASP attack drones. They were tucked under 12-foot-long wings. As the first T-10 entered the zone, Moscow's defenses reacted. Pantsir S-1 systems scanned the skies and detected something big. It wasn't a giant aircraft, but an army of drones. Ukraine also released dozens of decoy drones at the same time. These cardboard gliders used small reflectors to mimic the signals of cruise missiles. To the radars, it was a massive attack. Russian operators panicked, watching the tiny blips, and openly fired their 57 E-6 missiles. While they were engaged, the first Dovbush T-1 reached the final 10-mile radius. The Moscow air defense got into an absolute frenzy. This is when the aircraft pulled out its next card. Dovbush T-1 releases its 6 WASP drones from its wings, heading straight to their target. White-hot tracers immediately lit up the sky. Russians knew they needed something else. Pantsir S-1, stationed on a rooftop, engaged a target and fired its powerful 2 A-38M's 30mm autocannons. Since it was shooting 500 rounds per minute of explosive shells, the first Wasp couldn't survive. The clash was intense, resulting in tiny fragments of lithium and plastic evaporating into thin air. The remaining 5 drones dipped below, navigating through buildings and apartments. It was an easy trick to get out of the radar range, but Russia was quick to know and take action. Security members on rooftops began firing AK-74. Another Wasp was struck directly in its rear motor. It spun, then slammed into a billboard as a fireball. 2 drones were out. Russia activated its Predator mode, trying to jam the drones by creating fake images in their thermal sensors. As a result, Wasp number 3 got confused. It received the thermal signal of a nearby industrial chimney. Instead of attacking the transformer, it mistakenly crashed into the factory's wall, erupting into a fire. The plan wasn't going as Ukraine had hoped, but they wouldn't give up on enemy territory. Wasp number 4 and 5 pulled a high G maneuver, dragging Pantsir S-1's aim 2 seconds away. These few seconds were all needed for Wasp number 6. At over 130 miles per hour, it flew directly into the substation's perimeter fence. The metal wires snapped instantly. The drone didn't slow down or hesitate. Its onboard computer had already chosen its target. In less than a second, the explosive charge detonated. It sent a narrow stream of molten metal straight into the transformer. The reaction was immediate. A bright blue electrical flash shot upward into the sky, lighting up the night like frozen lightning. For 5 seconds, the sky over Moscow glowed blue and white, visible from miles away. Inside the substation, alarms went off everywhere. Emergency switches slammed shut. The ground shook as the transformer absorbed the blast. But the substation was huge. One hit wasn't enough to shut everything down. On Russian command screens, the situation appeared to be under control. 4 out of 6 drones had been destroyed. Only 1 had hit its target. Power was flickering but not completely gone. Engineers believed the damage could be isolated and repaired within an hour. Some operators even congratulated each other. To Russian state media, this was already being shaped as a success. Air defenses had protected Moscow. They didn't realize the attack wasn't finished, because 10 minutes later, another aircraft was already on its way. The second Dovbush T-10 was approaching from a different direction. This was intentional. It was a second strike planned to hit while Russian defenses were tired, overheated, and reloading. The Pantsir S-1 was powerful, but it had a weakness. Once it fires all 12 missiles, it cannot shoot again for several minutes. Reloading takes time along with special equipment. Its cannons had a problem too. After firing thousands of rounds during the first attack, the barrels were extremely hot. If they kept firing, the weapons could be permanently damaged. As crews stepped out of their vehicles to cool things down and regroup, the second aircraft appeared. From the northwest, 8 miles away, it released 6 more WASP drones. They dropped and accelerated instantly. On Russian radar screens, confidence vanished. Panic returned in seconds. This time, Russia responded differently. An elite Rosgvardia unit rushed a powerful electronic warfare truck, Krasuka 4, onto a bridge near the Yauza River. The system switched on and flooded the air with 24.5 and 5.8 GHz bands with a white noise wall of 500 watts. The drone's radio frequencies disappeared under heavy static. Wasp number 7, due to this wave, lost its signal immediately. Its camera feed turned to static. Without guidance, it drifted off course and slammed into the side of an apartment building, exploding without causing serious damage. Moments later, Wasp number 8 was targeted by a Russian soldier standing on a factory roof. He aimed a handheld EDM-4S jamming gun and fired. The drone lost control and plunged straight into the frozen river. Russian commanders believed they had regained control, but they missed one critical detail. Ukrainian drones were designed for this situation. The remaining 4 drones switched to autonomous mode. When all external signals were cut off, such as radio, GPS, and satellite, the drones stopped listening and started navigating on their own. They used their Skynote S processor to run a digital map of Moscow stored inside their systems. They no longer needed instructions, they knew where they were going. The drones successfully kept flying. Russians soon realized they could not stop these drones. In desperation, their commanders activated TOR M2, a backup system they had been saving. It was faster and more accurate than anything used before. 2 9M331 missiles are launched. WASP number 9 tried to dodge with a 9G sharp turn, but the missile exploded nearby. The blast tore it apart mid-air. Now only 3 drones remained. 1 target, 1 chance. Wasp number 10 had to become a sacrificial lamb. It climbed straight up to 500 feet, making itself highly visible on radar. But it was a bait. The Russian operator fired the last ready missile. The drone vanished in a flash, but it had done its job. It gave the final 2 drones 11 seconds of flight time. They raced forward, flying low and fast. They were about 500 yards from the target. On the ground, Russian security forces opened fire with everything they had: rifles, machine guns, even a flare gun. Wasp number 11 took a bullet and caught fire, but it kept moving. It crashed into a backup generator's fuel tank and exploded, filling the area with flames and smoke. That smoke hid the final drone. Wasp number 12 emerged with barely 4% battery left and 1 damaged motor. But its computer had already chosen its target. It was the 20 kilovolt main transformer's oil line. At 140 miles per hour, it dove. The 2-pound shaped charge exploded, causing a devastating explosion. Inside the transformer, pressure and heat built instantly. Oil flash heated and expanded violently. A massive blue electrical arc shot into the sky, turning night into day. 5 seconds. That's all it took. 70 tons of mineral oil superheated to 3,000 degrees. At the VDNKh New Year's Festival, the attack reached its final effect. When the last drone strike hit the power substation, the electrical surge raced backward through the grid. Circuit breakers began failing one after another. Lights across the festival didn't fade slowly. They flared bright for a split second and then died. The massive New Year's tree flickered once and went dark. Music stopped in the middle of a song. Huge LED screens shut off instantly. Thousands of people were left standing in freezing cold and complete darkness. This wasn't accidental damage. It was the direct result of a planned strike on Moscow's power infrastructure. While Russian officials rushed to call it a minor technical issue, satellite heat tracking systems showed a clear thermal spike at the substation, proof of serious damage at the core of the grid. The cost of the Ukrainian attack was simple and small, about $60,000. The damage will take months to repair, especially with restricted access to high-voltage components. This attack wasn't about symbolism, it was about results. A cheap, coordinated drone strike broke through layered air defenses, exhausted missile stocks, and shut down a critical power node in the capital during the most important night of the year. The message was clear: modern warfare isn't about having the biggest weapons, it's about timing, planning, and smarter systems.